All right, so today we're going to create a custom view. So right now our Battleship has a login feature and the preferences, which is what I did yesterday. So we're going to create a new layout, and this is going to be the Battleship screen. So I want to have an attacking board on the top and a defending board on the bottom, just like the old cases. You had one on the top and one on the bottom, and we have to draw this grid and make sure everything's working right, and actually that gets fairly complicated. But to do that, I want to create a custom layout. So I'm going to create a new layout resource file, and we'll call it game board. And on this game board, we want to add there's a way at the bottom, there's a custom view. So I want to add this custom view to my screen over here. Why is it doing that? Huh.
No.
That's bizarre.
I think it's because you copy base activity or something. That's kind of weird.
I don't have a map view in here. You have to do this. All right, let me pause. So I'm not sure why IntelliJ is not letting me do this. It's expecting, well, no, that's a checkbox. It's expecting, see, it won't even let me grab that and put it on here. So I'm going to go to the text view and go steal it off of my Battleship resources. And I've got a layout that I've called game board. And we'll copy all of this and put it into place. That should fix that, but it's weird. So I have this view is a custom view, and the class, we tell it where the class is coming from. So this board view, I'm going to create a new board view class in my source folder, and the view will get all of the information from that class in order to draw it. Okay, so it has rendering problems. It doesn't know how to draw this board view right now. So I'm going to create a board view class, board view, and we're going to extend from our base activity just like normal. And now if I go back and look at my class, it shows that I've got one. Well, I don't quite have it completed yet. So let's fill out the board view class, and actually this does not extend from the base activity. This is not an activity. This is a view. We're creating our own custom view to display on that layout. All right, so let's back up a little bit. So this is going to extend from an image view. And in order for that to work, we have to have a creator, a constructor that takes these specific elements. It takes a context, and it takes an attribute set. As its inputs. And inside of this, we're going to call the super, of course, passing in the context and the attrs again. And then we're going to do some more stuff in here so that when the board view gets created, we're going to start drawing some things inside of this. The other method that we have to override is the onDraw method. So we're going to override the protected void onDraw, and it takes a canvas, or gives us a canvas to draw on. And we'll import that package. Yeah. Come on. What the heck? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong key, that's why. There we go. Jeez. All right, and the onDraw, we're going to, of course, call the super onDraw and pass it the canvas that we were given. This is not right. Super dot onDraw, sorry. We pass it our canvas, and then we're going to do some drawing in here. Do some drawing. So now if we look at this, our XML file over here should find this, this class that we created. And this class is what draws on the screen for this particular custom view. So anything I draw in my BoardView class gets drawn in this element on the page. All right? So it says it can't find this, so we're going to build the project, and then it will find the class and draw nothing, because we have nothing in there yet. But that should fix it. Okay, there we go. So we've got this custom view on top of this that is drawn from this class. Are you with me? Does that make sense? So anything I do in here will be drawn on that page. And I don't even have to run my program. I can just add the code here, build the project, and come look at the view over here, and it will draw it directly on the screen for me, which is kind of nice. I don't have to actually go into the Android and build it for the Android. So in our constructor, we'll create some things that we're going to need. Let's create a new paint object, because we have to have a paint object to do anything with. So I need a variable that I'm going to have private static paint called paint. So that's my variable. I'm going to create a new paint, and inside of that paint, this is where you set the color of the brush and the width of the brush and the size of your font and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to set the stroke width to 10, and I'm going to set the color to blue, because I like blue, and import all of these packages as we need them. Pixel width. Pixel width, yeah. And then we're going to set the style of our stroke to be style, let's see, style dot fill and stroke. So that creates a paint object that we can now use inside of our canvas. So every time the Android feels that this view needs to be redrawn, it calls this onDraw method. When the view is first created, it calls this constructor. And that's where I'm setting up some paint information. So the first time it's called, I get all of this paint information. From then on, this is on the screen, and if it feels like it needs to be redrawn, maybe I rotate the page, it's going to call my onDraw method again. So all of my calculations for drawing the grid and the lines and everything is going to be in this method, this onDraw method. So let's just do some simple, let's get some values. I can get the screen height from this canvas, and I can get the screen width, which might be useful, right? Get the measured width, and it's getting it from this canvas here, from this view. All right, now I'm going to just draw a rectangle. So in the canvas is all my drawing methods. I can draw a rectangle, and it takes either a rectangle or a left top, right bottom. So I'm going to use the left top, right bottom. So the top I'm going to put at 0 and 0, and the right hand side, so that's the top left. Remember that top left is 0, 0, and the coordinates go positive to the right and positive down. So down is the y direction, right is the x direction. Everybody got that? So yeah, so let's go to the screen. Width would be first because that's the x coordinate, and then the screen height would be the y coordinate, and then we have to pass it this paint object. All right, so all I have to do now is build this, make the project, and I can go look at my board over here, and I should see a filled blue screen. Isn't that sweet? So it automatically took that in IntelliJ as the compiled view, and it's running this code right now as it's displaying that view. Isn't that nice? I thought that was pretty cool. Sweet. So if I just do a stroke here and rebuild it, then I'll have a border around this entire page, which is 10 pixels. All right, so I can zoom in on this and see that it's 10 wide all the way across. All right? Isn't that nice? Very nice. I thought that was cool. Now,
Cool thing is you do the math and do it dynamically instead of having hard code.
right,
You'd never be able to do that.
right. So if I don't know if I can flip it in here.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe on the left.
So now it's flipped horizontally, and it still draws it because I'm using the screen width and height as my basics for the coordinates.
Does it reverse the height and width? Do you know? Which one?
No, this is always 0, 0. So this is 0, 0, and this is screen height, screen width down here at the bottom. And if I flip it, this is 0, 0, and this is screen height, screen width down at the bottom.
Okay.
So it's always oriented as if we're looking at a monitor. And the monitors, remember, 0, 0 starts up here, X goes positive this way, and Y goes positive this way. So it's a kind of a reversed first quadrant in math geometry, right? It's the reason it's like that is that the TV screens scan from the top to the right and then down. So this is the first pixel that gets drawn at the top. And so they match the computer to match the screen displaying across. That's the reason. It's kind of a strange reason, but. So now I can do anything inside my canvas. I can draw some rectangles. I can draw a battleship. I can draw a bitmap. Let's draw an oval. Let's just draw a rectangle that is going to be from 100, 100 to 200, 200 past my paint object. And build it, and they will come. And now I should have a little square somewhere right in here. Beautiful, eh? So now it's just a matter of laying out your information on the screen, and that takes a bit of work. We can do some text. So let me draw a string. Boy, my computer is frozen over here. I can do a canvas.draw text, and I can pass it a string. Hello, Dave, or attacking board. And I tell it where I want it. I want it at maybe 2020, and I pass the paint object. All right? Do it. Engage. Make it so. So it's going to draw, and you see it drew it. It's a little hard to see. Why did it draw it in blue? That's what my paint is set at, right? So I have to change my paint if I want that to happen. I'm going to say my paint dot set color, I want to be the color white. And I can set the text properties, text size, to be maybe 30. Got to spell text size right. And I'm going to make this go to 3030 now. All right, so let's build that. And remember, I've never had to go out to my computer, my Android virtual machine to see this. I can just watch it here build up on the screen. So now I've got a tacking board here at the top. Beautiful, eh? My computer crashed, so. All right, any questions on that?
You set the text color separate from your brush color, so that you wouldn't have to swap back.
No. You could have multiple paints objects, and you could have a text paint object and just use that object to pass to your text. That would probably make more sense. Yeah. Yeah, so now we've got to draw a grid. So we need to draw some lines. So I'm going to say canvas.draw a line. And we need a start and a stop. So I'm going to draw from 0, let's see, X is first, so X is going to be 0. Y is down the page, so I'm going to say 100. And then I want to go all the way across the page, which is screen width. And I want to go 100 down on the right-hand side. Correct? So this is XY on the left and XY on the right. And I make my project, and I should see a white line coming across here. There you go. Beautiful, eh? All right, so there's a white line. Now I need to do that a bunch of times, right? So I can say for int I equals 0, or let's use y equals 100, y less than screen height, y plus equals 100. How about that? And then all I have to do is replace this with a y, and that should draw me a bunch of lines 100 pixels apart all the way down the screen. Ba-bam! Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Any questions?
That's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Really, you're going to want to have whatever 20 boxes or something.
Yes.
Into the building map.
Yes.
And can you do scrolling?
You can. I would have to put this custom view inside of a scroll view, and then I could scroll up and down. But from what I can copy all my code over here and show you the ending, what it looks like. But I'm able to put two boards on the screen at the same time, and it looks pretty good. So you've got to have 11 cells across and 11 down, because you have to have the A, B, C, D up to J at the top and 1 through 10 at the bottom. And so you've got to have an extra row and a column for those identity pieces. And then you've got a 10 by 10 square inside of here. And I think it's excellent skill for you to actually go through and figure this out, because it is a lot of math and trying to figure out where these lines go, etc. All my code is on GitHub right now. You could actually copy that, but I think it would be really useful if you tried it yourself. The problem, I can't just copy in the layout, because my layout is now dependent on a lot of other stuff. So I'll show you my board view. And this is my board view. I have these arrays that I created of letters and an array of numbers. And notice how it was easier for me to put a space between these, so that, because this takes up 2 characters. So I made all my numbers take up 2 characters. It was easier to center that information. Little things like that you'll see as you get through this. So I've got my constructor where I create a bunch of stuff, and then my onDraw is huge now. I'm drawing a rectangle around the whole thing. I'm switching colors back and forth, getting a cell width and height based on the screen width, a width and a height, so that these boxes change if I rotate them. They're going to be wider across. And then I draw my horizontal lines and my vertical lines all in one loop, and I do 11 of them. Then I draw my text, and there's a method in the Paint to measure how many pixels that text takes up. So I measure how much does my numbers sub-0 take up, which is a space and a 1. And I use that, where'd it go? Here. So that I can center those texts inside of the cell. I mean, little things, there's a lot of little things like that. And then I draw whether or not, see, and this is where it gets complicated. I'll go through this tomorrow a little bit. I have a game grid array that is declared outside of this view in my board class that's going to actually handle the activity that this view sits on. Right? I now have created the view, but I need an activity that uses that view as the layout, and that will take the input and my touches and all that stuff. So I need a grid to hold whether or not there's a ship in that cell, or a hit in that cell, or a miss in that cell. And I use that to draw an S, a W, an M, or an H inside of that cell based on what happened outside of this view. Does that make sense? I've got this double array that handles the gaming portion of it, and the view just takes that and redraws the entire structure based on what happened in that array. So I set outside, if they touch a square, it changes that array to now say that I've tried to hit there. And then my view redraws, and it looks and says, oh, they tried to hit there, and it draws a W. I use a W for weighting because this is a internet-based game. You click on it, and then your background process has to send that as a turn to the server. And there's some latency there, right? So you clicked there. I want to show the user right away that they did something, so I put a W. When the server returns, it's going to change that view to either a hit or a miss. And then my view will redraw that again, and it'll show over the top of the M, it'll show a W, or vice versa. All right? So you can see how complicated that is to draw that view once you get all this information in there. All right, any questions on that? You could draw an image to the canvas, right? A bitmap. So in our view, I could do, I think it's canvas.draw bitmap. But I wanted mine to be dynamic, and you can't make an bitmap dynamic. If you enlarge it, it's going to stretch and pixelate, right? So I want to draw it in the native thing so that if you have a tablet, it's going to have a big board, right? It's going to be nice and big. So, but you could draw the ships with a bitmap. I think that would look really nice. So, all right, any questions on that? Cool stuff, eh? All right, tomorrow I'll go through how I set up the outside grid and the touch events. And then that's pretty much where I'm going to stop, and you guys have to finish it. Because at this point, we've shown you how to send and receive data to the server, draw on the screen, handle touch events, and you have to work out the game part of that. The server will be done, hopefully. So when you can send turns, and you'll have the whole API of what to do when you send a turn. You're going to get data back that the computer's turn. So for now, I think you'll only be able to play the computer. I won't have user to user working, I don't think, by the end of the quarter. So, but user to computer, you should be able to play the computer. So, all right, that's it.